She's so fine. Hell blows my mind. Hell lights my day.
What's good, guys? Today is Wednesday, November the 25th, 2020. This article isn't in regards to the J4K community, but my message is in regards to the J4K community. I found this article from medium.com, and it's titled Immature People Can't Handle the Truth. And I'm probably not going to read it in its entirety, but when I saw it, I was doing some research, rolled across it, and it immediately made me think of the way the J4K community works. So something comes out in regards to the Kanika Jenkins case, and everybody jumps on it. And some research it, and some don't. Some just take it at face value and roll on. While I can't tell you to research something or not research it, I strongly suggest that you do, because that's where you find your truth. And that's where you can make a conscious decision about this case, one way or the other. And I couldn't help but think about the falsified police document that came out. I think we all know who was behind that. No need to name drop here, but when that document surfaced, it was so blatantly obvious to the people who researched that they didn't need to do any more. I mean, we all knew that it was fake. But to other people that aren't familiar with research or don't do their research, it might have took a little bit of extra work. You could have went to another channel and you could have went to Rosemont's website. Let's be all the way honest with it. You could have went to Rosemont's website, pulled up the documents, and seen the layout of the documents, and immediately knew that that was not the way Rosemont does their documents. It's not the way Rosemont lays out their interviews in any way. In fact, it was such piss poor work that it looked like a kindergartner had done it. That's just me being all the way 100 with you. So you could have went to Rosemont's website. You could have went to another YouTube channel and saw where people were pulling the files over from Rosemont directly onto YouTube. I know I did it. I know several other people that have done it. There was a way that you could have found the truth. Now, with that being said, there were some people that once they read that, they wanted to believe what was in it. And they wanted to believe what was in it so bad, so desperately, that they took it as truth. And so that's what I'm speaking about here. The title, Immature People Can't Handle the Truth. It's wrote by Marley Kay, April the 17th, 2019. I'm not going to read it in its entirety, but we'll go through it. Or I don't think I am anyways. I'm often told my delivery of truth is mean. I'm also told I'm negative, especially by people who haven't experienced being around other people or much of the world outside of their own. People have a tendency to desire news or information, truth, in a manner acceptable to their palate. Who said the truth had to be pleasant? Some people just can't handle the truth. An inability to accept truth in all its forms sets a person up for a lifetime of suffering, whether they realize it. No one tells fragile people the truth. And you have to look at the YouTube portion of the J4K community. There are all kinds in the J4K community. All kinds. So you can take that last sentence, no one tells fragile people the truth, and you can apply it there. Immature people can't handle the truth. When a person can't get past the delivery to get the message, truth, well, that's their personal problem. It's a sign of immaturity or stunted growth and development. We define maturity as one's ability to respond to the environment in an appropriate manner. We are taught how to respond to our environments in our homes unless you were orphaned, like me, and left in a child welfare system where such teaching occurs infrequently, if at all. Parents and close family members teach us how to respond to our environments. Parents and caretakers should be teaching their children to be ready for real life outside of their home's environment. Instead, parents have delegated parenting to schools. Kids are forced to develop their own coping mechanisms and skills. We all know kids are all about seeking what feels good to them and getting their way. Anything that goes against that is bad. Those kids grow up and their parents unleash them throughout our society. Today, we have many fragile and immature people who cannot have a mature conversation. They cannot deal with anyone who does not present information, truth, in a palatable manner. And when I say that, I think about the trolls. And there's a lot of trolls in the J4K community. Bring them on. Like, they don't bother me in the least bit. Hashtag unbothered by them. There are a lot of people that cannot understand that people can have a differing opinion and still get along. And me, myself, I can't understand why. So, this kind of helps me with that. It has to do with maturity level and your upbringing. I have received wisdom and truth from some of the most unlikely sources. I didn't argue with the source. I politely inquired about more evidence to validate truths shared. I'm comfortable with confrontation, as am I. That's me speaking here. I am very comfortable with confrontation. It does not bother me in the absolute least bit. Back to the article. It's a part of life. I know I don't know everything. I have an open mind and I'm a vessel waiting to be filled. I understand that my attitude dictates my learning. That's another key point. When you have an attitude, you are missing a lot. You are missing a lot. I show myself strong and trustworthy. If people don't believe they can trust me with the truth, they will tell me lies. And I hate lies. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I understand people have different personalities, backgrounds, and delivery styles. I'm able to extract information, truth, regardless of how it's delivered without being offended. I believe only a person who cares about my well-being would engage me with the truth. I feel only a person who cares for me would share truth in confidence, trust. I hate being lied to. I love the truth. Where there is no trust, there can be no truth. If one can't speak truth, there can be no trust. Coddling and truth don't go together. People sharing truth need to know the receiver can be trusted. There are far too many people in the world today who have been coddled or sheltered too much by their parents, their schools, their coaches, and their communities. These people are incapable of dealing with truth, even if it isn't said nicely. Let me repeat that. These people are incapable of dealing with truth if it isn't said nicely and crafted in a text message, email, or neatly worded conversation to protect their feelings. Why is delivering truth so difficult? Who told people the truth is nice? And why is it so hard for some people to accept it even when they know they are wrong? She goes on to say, for example, last week my dad was angry with the funeral home and refused to give them their chairs and podium back because the funeral home refused to allow him to take part in the planning of his mother's funeral, per his sisters who had stolen the insurance policies. Another story. My truth was that my dad should do the right thing. It wasn't his property, so give it back. He was too old for pity tit for tat. I also noted the legal ramifications of withholding the funeral home's property. My dad told me I didn't understand. He didn't care about my reasonable truth. He had a big old tantrum in the middle of the floor, stumping and all. He couldn't handle the truth. Thank my dad's recently deceased mother for stunting her son's growth and development, turning him into a great big immature man-child. I didn't care about my dad's petty tantrum. I had no obligation to tell him anything to make him feel good or that would pacify his need to be petty or vindictive. As his daughter, a small business person, and a decent human being, it was my duty to speak truth. Truth wasn't neatly packaged to pacify my dad. The truth was spoken boldly and maturely spoken without malice. I watched him have his tantrum like a parent watches a kid when they are used to it. I wasn't bothered. I knew I said the right thing. The next day, after meditating, my dad did the right thing and returned the funeral home's property. Had I coddled my dad and allowed him to have his way, he would likely still be a petty patty hoarding property that didn't belong to him. His mother would have condoned his immature behavior. I do not. Life is too short to pacify grown people wanting to act like kids. I'm going to repeat that. Life is too short to pacify grown people wanting to act like kids. Delivering truth, regardless of the receiver's ability to accept it, is always the right thing to do. You have no blood on your hands later. That's another thing in regards to the J4K community. Sometimes we just don't want to accept the truth. And specifically, once you've made your mind up about something, say you've made your mind up about one of the party goers. You have made your mind up. This person's guilty. You know they did it. You know this, and this. And you have no proof. You have no proof. But you still believe they're guilty. But you have no proof. That's what I'm talking about. It says we have been trained to hate truth. Voters hate truth. So much so we continue to elect polished liars to say all the things we think we believe in. Our parents have taught us it's okay to be liars when they didn't call us on our own bullshit, allowing us to get away with things we shouldn't have. We took those lessons into adulthood, and I'm sure it worked out terribly. Men can't be truthful to women about what they want in relationships, sexual needs and desires, and even whether they are ready, willing to be in a long-term relationship or not. It forces men to lie to women, wasting their time and ruining their lives. She says, in closing, fragile people never really get the truth because they aren't able to handle it. Truth is freedom. Truth helps us avoid danger. Truth gives us the tools we need to be productive, successful citizens. Giving truth starts early. It starts in the home. Because we've been programmed by our public and private education systems, religious institutions, corporations, our governments, and political structures to believe lies. They condition us to accept propaganda, lies, and half-truths. They have taught us to cherry-pick good news and hold off on receiving or giving bad news. Our politicians and public institutions have trained us to think they are helping us when they withhold the truth from us. What they are really saying is that we are too stupid, too fragile, or too immature to handle truth. That's bad. It's bad for our mental and emotional well-being. It's bad for our financial health, and it's terrible for social and emotional development. We need more truth in our lives. We need to use our critical thinking skills. We need to teach people we care about the truth. We need to teach people we care about the truth isn't always going to feel good, but it's right. Lies harm. An old mentor had a saying, and it rings true for me. The truth will set you free. A lie will find you out. It takes too much time to craft soft, feel-good fluff lies to make fragile folks feel good. The truth can stand on its own. It needs no props, smoke, or mirrors. You're able to speak it and it's over. A lie needs more lies to follow it up to be propped up. Who has time for that? And who wants to make up fluff to pacify someone's too fragile to accept the truth? It's a lot of unnecessary work to avoid truth. That's why I speak truth and I feel good about it. We all need to learn to love and accept truth no matter how it comes to us. One's feelings should never trump one's safety and well-being. Lies divide us. The truth shall set us free. The truth unites us. That is so true. And I'm specifically speaking about the J4K community. There's been things that I have researched, and I believed one way until I researched it. And even though I didn't like what I found out, I still had to accept that truth. No matter how I felt about it, I still had to accept it. The lies divide us? Absolutely. And I can think of a few channels just off the top of my head that in the beginning of this case were feeding the lies, and that was dividing everybody. And people were all over the place. It's interesting to think back on how things were developing in the very beginning and the lies people were telling. With that being said, I'm going to end this video, but I just wanted to bring this to the channel because I thought it was pretty relevant to the J4K community. And with that being said, you guys can have a great night. Thanks for watching.